Hey there folks, welcome to the next Grand Trip of 730 mile per hour tryouts. In this tryouts I am doing the Suzuki Carry KC 2012. Alright, here's the parts and list when it comes to the Suzuki Carry KC. Which I had to use every engine part I could find when it comes to this one. But the trade-off is, it's 143 horsepower, 106.9 foot per pound torque, an inline 3-cylinder motor, which I'm just gonna say this is probably the craziest motor out of the bunch when it comes to that. Just holy crap when it comes to that. So yeah, basically you do like everything you want to this. I will note, at best it hits only 130 miles per hour in terms of the highest I can hit. I cannot hit past 155. So in case you're wondering, this is one of those K cars that can't hit 155 unless through the engine swap that we recently got through update 1.66. But otherwise, that's basically all the parts to show. So yeah, it can have a wide body, which yeah, the wide body is a bit different. It gives it, it changes the fenders, and you can also take the box off and turn it into a flat box, as you can see there and stuff. And then also the engine swap is a 2N4 bike motor, which yeah, this, unlike most cases with that bike motor, that is probably the best vehicle when it comes to that bike motor, because it allows it to go 155 and onwards. I think up to 186, if you want to know. I think. It could be just 155 at the end of it, but who knows. But at least it allows it to go into a higher tier in the future here. Yeah, here's basically the rims, which yeah, I had to change those rims. Those rims were the regular commercial round rims that usually trucks have at the end of it. Yeah, you basically go full wides with the aftermarket ones, or you can just go wides with the offset on the regular ones. And you can change the front here, have the front up. Yeah, you can basically mostly get most of the race style from the wide body kind, except for like one thing that's different, which I believe it's the box here that's where it's different when it comes to the race one, because you can add a roll bar in the back instead of the box here. But because it's the non-wide body one, you just stuck with that for choices. It's kind of funny, you can put a stall and box and everything in this. Just crazy. Then you can put a semi-style ramp, or you can put a lip for the top, for the rooftop. And then of course you can change the headlights, which yeah, I didn't realize they had regular standards, so I slapped those on. Yeah, it's supposed to have the warms. It's like, oh. That's not going to affect anything, I will say, in terms of performance. It's just going to have those better headlights. This thing goes, and here's where it gets interesting, because yeah, I will say, unlike regular license plate where you just move off to the side or just get small, you get two license plates, or just two plates there at the end there. It's just really weird. And then for the front, it's really weird, but you can close out the whole front. I don't know why you would do that, because that feels like it would overheat the motor if you do that, because I believe that's where the motor's at, for the most part. So it is a notch style. It's not a full cap. So yeah, I was gonna say cop. But here's the tune-up two on top of it, which is just basically increase the height on the suspension, increase the suspension a bit more. So that way it doesn't slide out so much. I will note it still kind of does it, but not as crazy anymore. And also, yeah, it didn't really stuck against to the ramps on the up, because yeah, it would have problems going up ramps too, because it's one of those kind of suspensions where if it's not high enough, it will stick to where it turns at the end there. And then I went with the medium RPM because as you can see, it's very max. It's a very max on terms of horsepower. So yeah, like I said, this thing can only go up to like 130 miles per hour at the end of the day in terms of maxification to me. You can go up higher, but I just, you know, in terms of the Tryouts though, gotta be 130. So. Fuck, if I had anything to say when it comes to higher, probably like up to 148 when I last tested and stuff. But yeah, here's the vinyl in case anyone wants the street version, and also the race version too. So which one hits your boat, say at the end of it. So the Suzuki Carry truck is a very famous K truck, or infamous in some warrior's fucking case, as the saying goes. The Suzuki Carry KC truck is a very famous Japanese truck, built in mind to just do that, just to be a reliable truck at the end of the day, with not too many luxury fundamentals like having an infotainment or crap that you would see in most trucks. Now this truck is point A to point B in terms of fundamental design, and that is being reliable as possible at the end of the day. Which it really kind of shows, because I will say, for being as reliable as it is, it's a very light truck on top of it. And not only that, with a very nice tight transmission, and I would say, I don't know what's the other best way to say it. I know the suspension is probably the bad thing I would say about it, because yeah, you have to heighten the suspension a bit more when it comes to going up ramps like this, because otherwise you won't turn. So something to note, but the other thing it's crazy for is being a high horsepower of a truck, I gotta say, because yeah, 143 horsepower in a small K truck like this is very quick. Not only that, this inline 3 is very crazy quick too on top of it, I gotta say. This is probably like the quickest inline 3 I've ever seen. But that might be because of the fact of the one big fundamental when it comes to trucks is that they're not as aerodynamic as cars. So you do have to put more horsepower down as a result, and technically it will burn more fuel as a result. So it does burn more fuel than a normal K car. But in terms of fuel burnage though, I'd say it's kind of on par to even a regular car, which is, by my case, that's very impressive for a little K truck like this. So very good in regards, and as you can see on the time there, 1 minute 20.465, that is super quick. That is astronomically quick, I will say. That is probably maybe the quickest time we have done in terms of 130 mile per hour tryouts, given of the other 9 cars we had. Heck, let's see here, shall we? In terms of times, yeah, it's almost beating the Willys Jeep just right there alone, I will say, because the Willys Jeep hit a minute 20.374. This thing, on the other hand, is gonna do it. It's gonna beat that time, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, this will take the first place, no doubt, in my mind when it comes to this. Cause yeah, this thing is freaking amazing, I will say. The Carry KC, you want a very fast truck that will get you there at the end of the day, this would be the truck to do it. This would be like the most amazing, this is probably the most amazing truck to have because, well, I mean, the easy simple fact is that we don't have any other white trucks besides this. That's the best part. Until Gran Turismo talks more light trucks, we're just stuck with something like this, which, you know what, I'm okay with at the end of the concern. Look at that time, a minute 19.923, it just beat the Willys Jeep. It is now the first place holder when it comes to south reverse of Grand Valley Highway, yeah. So yeah, very crazy for the most part, very crazy. Yeah, hitting that top speed like 116 too on that straightaways, and then hitting like, I think it was like 93 on the climb up. Just holy crap, that's crazy quick. Like damn, that's something I did not expect when it came to getting this vehicle together. So I didn't think this would be the crazy one, but it is very much so. And that's the power of the Suzuki Carry, baby. Even though it's a very risky vehicle. Because in terms of infamous reports to say that a lot of people use this as the example when it comes to banning K trucks over here in the United States. Which hopefully all those banning crap gets lifted at the end of the day, because it's just fucking stupid. It's like you're comparing Like, if you think this is dangerous, a bike should be dangerous, I'm sorry to say, in that case. Because you're comparing this as if you're comparing a bike at the end of the day. So that's what's really BS when it comes to these K-trucks. Which, no, I think the real truth is, when it comes to that, besides him 119.669 there, yeah, that's a naughty truck. No, I think the reason why it gets banned at the end of the day is because, they're kind of scared how much this vehicle would bite into the sales of the trucks nowadays. Because reminder that this truck costs like $6,000 to $10,000 just for a little small K truck like this, and it only has like 40 to 60 horsepower, which is not much, but to get deeds done at the end of the day, that might be just good enough what you might need at the end of the day. Which, if you know, if this sells over here in the United States, it's gonna murder those 100 grand freaking trucks as we see today. Those King Ranches, those ridiculous SUVs. This little K truck, I could see it take a huge bite into the sales of what people would invest in at the end of the day. I won't say highly though, because I still think if there's one fundamental problem the Carry doesn't serve is that it's not 4-seaters, and 4-seater trucks are very kind of important over here. I'll say, unless because I will say there is variations when it comes to Carry KC. As you can see on the top of my lip there, it says Super Carry. Super Carry is the, I want to say club cab variation, but it could be a 4-door cab too. So if there's a 4-door cab with this, I recommend getting that one, because that one would be pretty crazy too. Because I know how crazy this one's just pulling along. So I'm kind of curious, like when you see the other variations, like the club cab and stuff, that is the Super Carry. So it'd be kind of interesting. I need to explore a bit more when it comes to Carry, so I might be just, you know, saying crap at the end of the day, but you know, but hit 128.080, that is a very, very, very fast speed when it comes to a car that really shouldn't hit that, but it's gonna hit it anyways. Because yeah, it's top speed, 117 miles per hour. That's easily 5 stars. It hits 93 in terms of acceleration. That's easily 5 stars for that too. Turning, I would say 4. It turns really freaking good. I'm not gonna lie when it comes to this. It has a bit of an understeer, but it turns phenomenally well. Tire burns, I believe it's kind of rear heavy, so beware of that. Oh no, it'd probably not be rear heavy. I think it's like a mid heavy in the rear. But for fuel though, fuel wise is very good for where it sits. It might burn a lot more than most K cars, but for the power efficiency it serves, I'd say it's super good. This car is definitely a rank S in terms of my understanding when it comes to what's a very fast paced car. This is one of them. A little truck called the Suzuki Carry KC. A very phenomenal little beast, I gotta say. That's a phenomenal little beast at the end of it. Yeah, let's see if we go faster than 128, shall we? Because yeah, the problem about the Jeep, and the Jeep was very phenomenal too. The problem about the Jeep, its top speed was very hindered by the very tight transmission in the aerodynamics that was served in that body of the vehicle at the end of it. Then again, I kind of give it slack because it was like a 1950s Jeep compared to a 2012 K truck to this day. Although I will say the Carry, in terms of size, is about the same size to the Jeep if you think about it. So yeah, the Suzuki is literally carrying the soul that we used to have, which was the Jeep's soul at the end of it. Because Jeep, I gotta say, Jeep nowadays, they are not the same. They are definitely not the same as they were. At best, you have the Wrangler and Rubicon. That's the closest you're getting for a good Jeep. Otherwise, like everything else is just bad. Like I even looked up about the Renegade. Turns out that wasn't that great either, because its front braking would lift the whole front up, or lift the whole back up if you brake too hard. Yeah, that's a bad design in terms of the Renegade, but hopefully that gets resolved as everything goes. But yeah, in terms of times, nothing can't match this. I will say. I need a Ford Roadster. The Ford Roadster hit 129.325. I figured that was a top speed crazy one. No, this thing just eats eats them for breakfast. I'm just gonna say it's probably gonna eat the whole competition for breakfast because I'll be surprised for anything else that would try to beat this at the end of the day, and I don't know what would. To say. Yeah, let's see what the best time here is, and it's 127.473. Good God, that is fast, man. That is super fast. For a little 103 mile per hour truck, good lord. Now we're on to Suzuki here, which this might be the challenge here, because the Jeep, I will say, was pretty good on terms of acceleration-wise, so it's got quite a competition here to even take this record from the Jeep. And so far, that's 8. If I had to choose between this or the Jeep, I would choose the Carry KC, because this thing is quick as balls. If there's one gripe I'll say about the Suzuki Carry KC, I kind of wish it was a bit roomier in that front, because that looks tight as hell, and I seen a time attack guy who turned around and made this into a time attack. There is no space in that front once he puts down the race seats and everything else. It's really weird, and I cannot believe how not roomy that is at the end of the day. But yeah, it's super tight for even a 5 to 6 foot person. The guy couldn't even really shift the shifter, I'll just say that much. Even though it's only like, I don't know, for a time attack truck, I will say the bad part it was like only 40 horsepower or 40 to 60 horsepower when the guy tested that, so it's like, ow. But for time here in Tsukuba, as you can see there, a minute 4:419. So yeah, plant 419. As the thing goes. Refreeze this crap as the thing goes. But yeah, the Carry KC is a very phenomenal little truck and probably the fastest 130 mile per hour car I'm gonna be testing out at the end of the day. And I know someone's probably gonna gripe and someone say, yeah, this ain't balanced at all, what the hell? Well, the point was it wasn't supposed to be balanced. The point was who could get up to speed and who performed the quickest amount of time around the track at the end of it. That's my whole point of doing the 130 mile per hour tryouts. I will say I do have something to cook in mind for a more arcade purpose, but I don't know how well it's going to work at the end of the day. It's a big problem when it comes to that. I'm hoping it kind of works, but you know, I do have to say I have to do these examples first before I even set down the path for that. I do have already an example of what to do for the first of it, but not like the later ones to say. But yeah, the Suzuki KC is just a very phenomenal truck at the end of it. It shocks me how crazy quick this is. It's like, I wasn't thinking it was going to be that quick, but it proved me wrong. Proved me wrong really bad, I gotta say. But yeah, so now we're just rolling around at Tsukuba and stuff. So as we go around the quick about, yeah, we got the go-kart chasing after us. Good luck, go-kart! As the thing goes. Just good luck. I guess this is a little phenomenal machine, because this thing is as quick as the freaking Willys Jeep. Yeah, the Willys Jeep is, if I believe it's in like a minute 3. You wanna know what's crazy? Yeah, it's a minute 3.688 right now. So yeah, it's got about another 1/8 of time to chunk out at the end, or 7th time. Okay, so a second to chunk out. But yeah, that's the first 3 laps here. So on to the best lap. But yeah, in terms of best, ooh, a minute 3.97. That is super close. Good lord. So it's got a third of a time to chunk out. If it could chunk that out, it basically got it. It got the Jeep at that point, but we'll see here. In terms of the final roundabout of the Firecracker Paneo, as thing goes. As we go on to straight of the chicane. That's kind of like a chicane. It's like a swing. It's very weird. It looks like a chicane, but it's more of a swing when it comes around to Tsukuba. And onto the last of the short roundabouts. Down to the long roundabout up here. I'm just very shocked how fast this little machine is at the end of the day, because good lord, like this thing is hitting sports speed, I just say. In terms of pace, like holy crap. Then we go on to the long roundabout and we get 101, 102, 103, 103.873. It was super close, but Will's Jeep still has that one at the end of the day. I'm not surprised. Because reminder, Will's Jeep is all-wheel drive. This thing, well, I kind of have no excuse. I'm starting to think, like, even with the all-wheel drive, it turns out even FRs are pretty quick. But here's all I could do at the end of the day, which is Sunday Cups, of course. It could do the Japanese FR challenge, and it's probably going to destroy those guys at the end of the day. I have a feeling. Now, I will say, it could probably most likely do the little K-Cup, but I forgot to throw the tune-up here, and I don't want to go back, because otherwise the video recording would probably get corrupted in the process. So, sorry to tell you, people. I'm going to assume, just put some weight, maybe change the transmission, make sure to have the same transmission setup, but change the transmission to manual instead of low to weight. Just a similar case as I did with the Honda M1, just to save a trip. If not, well, I might have to lower the speed a bit. Same goes. Yeah, you got Tokyo Highway Parade, and you got the high speed ring. That was for tournament you can do. So now onto the race, which yeah, this thing, holy crap. I will note, this ain't selfie anymore, because screw selfie. I'm just done with selfie at this point. No more of that selfie shenanigans. But to say, though, this is what's a bunch of sports cars, as the technically GT cars, if you count that ZR1 there. Which I'm shocked that we have ZR1 here. It's like, holy shit. And then we have also a 964. It's not like we were driving that last time, technically. But the Samba Bus 964, yes. So yeah, just funny crap. Just funny crap to see. We got the Lancer Evo 8. Yeah, Lancer Evo 8 MR. Got the C1 Corvette. Got the Dodge Challenger 1970. We got the initial D 8086, which I say initial D was because technically that's the creator's car. That's not the actual initial D car, because I keep having a massive slip up to that, and I realized that, so I apologize for the previous ones on that, because I forget that technically the other one's different. Then again, I didn't watch his initial D, that thing goes. I only knew it because so many YouTubers showed it. You're playing some of the music, or showing a little bit of the anime at the end there. But sadly, it doesn't seem to be like any really good game for initial D unless there kind of is one that's very hidden. Because, yeah, as much people talk about it, I just don't see them playing the game of it at the end of the thing goes. Which I know there's like a new one done by Sega, because the one who did the Sonic Racing Crossworlds also did initial D arcade game back then, or something like that. But yeah. Oh, we got Lancer Evo Time Mackinnon. We had the Mackinnon special. We also have Integra Type R that's holding the line somehow. I'm surprised about that, but that ain't gonna last for long, because I know that Mackinnon's very fast. For the most part. That's probably the one opponent to be on the watch for, as the thing goes. But it just shocks me that the Suzuki carry is just already up here in second lap, just taking second place already. It's like, okay. Now, would this situation be very much different if selfie was involved? Oh yeah, very much. Very much for the most part. But, this ain't selfie anymore. This is just straight up the AIs. And even as professional AIs, I don't know, I kind of like this more, because at least I could chill and not have panic whenever Sophie's just suddenly just pulling up a shotgun to my face, as the thing goes. In terms of pace difference, all of a sudden. They do pull a different pace difference, but at least they'll give you a warning to say, I would say. But yeah, we got the Chevy C2 in the front, which shocks me the most. God, give me classic Jeep Gran Turismo blast for God's sake. Cause yeah, you want to know the most notorious opponent when it comes to like the beginning parts of Gran Turismo? It's usually that C2 Corvette. They got not surprised. The C2 Corvette was a very phenomenal machine, as the thing goes. And then we got the Volvo V40 here, which, as you've seen, it wasn't first for a good second there. It's all the way back here. I wonder why. I don't want to be a diss and say that Volvo is just a discount focus at the end of the day, but sometimes I just feel like I want to say that. Yeah, I've got the 180 SX Type X, and then we got the Silvia K S13 S13 or S14? S14, I believe. Corvette C1, the 911 964. As thing goes. And the Carrera RS Spec. Super Bird. Got Plymouth Super Bird. Then we got the Sprinter Truno, which, in terms of performance, I did saw how wonderful this car can be. It just sucks though that you can't drive this as a road car though, because it doesn't count as a road car. It's professionally tuned. But as professionally tuned it only is like 200 horsepower with a very high RPM. That's the biggest thing that shocks me about that car. It has like 15,000 RPM. It's one of the highest RPM cars you could have, and that's that one. And then we have the club car that is the Mazda Spirit. That car. Just at the end of the day. The Mazda Spirit 12R. In other words, or Mazda Miata 12R. You can call it that too. But yeah, it's just a $150,000 cloak of a club car at the end of the day. It's something, but it's like $150,000. Reminder how much you had to spend for that. Holy crap. And the best part is, you can't really do much with it unless you slap that RX-7 motor swap. Because yeah, thank God they had to swap for that, because good God fixed the problems for that one. But yeah, the Lancer Evo 8, which, you know, I'm kind of surprised how laid back that car is right now. You got the Super RZ 1997. It shocks me to see this in the far back. It's like, holy crap, like, wait, you have a Super RZ? Because yeah, I had a double look. Like, what the heck's a Super RZ doing in the back? And the Corvette ZR1, which I'm not going to be surprised being up here on the higher side, because I recall it having like 384 horsepower, but I will note, since it is a 9 times burn, that could burn a lot more than it should do, however, so that's probably the trade-off for the ZR1, sadly. But it does work. It does work at the end of it. Yeah, I got the Lancer Evo hitting half in the fuel tank right now. With the Corvette C2 hitting, let's see, I want to say a third. It's like almost about to hit third in terms of tank right now. And me, about 2/3. Definitely gonna last pretty long when it comes to this race. But yeah, I picked this race because this is a speed race, so it's like, you know, I kind of wonder like how deadly the opponents are. Which yeah, by the way, this is full race hard tires at 12 laps. 9 times fuel and 12 times tire burn, because I forgot to throw a picture of that too. At Yamajiwa Kyoto Driving Park, if I recall what it's called. So in case anyone wants to know what's called at the end of the day, it's that. Oh yeah, 3 times on the daylight change on afternoon. In case anyone else wants to do a similar setup like this. So if anyone wants to know the setup at the end of it. Yeah, just basically look at the opponents as of right now. The Lancer Evo 8 and stuff like that. In terms of what else they could toss for the Suzuki front turns of Suzuki, I wouldn't mind if they toss like one of their sedans. And I wouldn't mind if they toss because I don't think they have made anything else beyond the Cappuccino in terms of sedans. I just know they made just mostly trucks. So if I have any other suggestion, probably bring in the Super Carry, because I'm curious about the Super Carries. So, and maybe some older Carry ones, perhaps. If there is any differences to them or not at the end of the day. I assume not, besides being, you know, smaller. Oh yes, I'm asking for something that's even smaller than the regular one. And this thing came for 2012. But I have seen the Super Carries, though, as a 2022 or 22.3, I believe, in terms of models, what they were. Those look pretty good, so I would say add those in the future. Because I'm curious about how good those are in return. And if there's a non-K engine for the Carry, because I wouldn't be surprised there's a... Because I forgot to mention this, and this is shown with the Suzuki Jimny, matter of fact. Because the Jimny has the JC and then the Sierra XC. I hope I got that right. But the difference between the Sierra and the regular JC, the JC is the K unit, while the Sierra is the public unit. So if the Carry has a public unit, I would like to see that one. See if there's a difference in terms of motor for that one as well. But yeah, that's that's in terms of what vehicles I could think of in the future for that and such. But that's basically all I can think of in terms of talking about the Suzuki Carry, besides being a phenomenal truck and technically replacing another truck, I will say, because we did have a previous truck way back then in terms of Gran Turismo history, which was the Daihatsu Midge. I'm not going to say the T because you know what that means. You know what its actual name is, but I'm going to call it the Midge. We just silent the T at the end of the day, which I'm surprised it just wasn't called that instead, because you could silent the T, just call it the Midge. Just don't put the, you know, the it to it. That's the thing goes. Because that is a slur over here. As the thing goes. So I'm surprised that it was able to have that name throughout the whole life it was given. So that might be the reason why we're not seeing that vehicle. We're not seeing that vehicle in Gran Turismo as of now, because there's also like a 1950s version of the Midge too. And then you have the one that was more famous, which is the Rigger Midge, which is what the Carry kind of replaced at the end of the day. I don't remember if the Midge was an FF or not, where this one is an FR, because I will say that's probably the cool part about this K truck, because I was expecting it was going to be an FF or an all-wheel drive. No, this was a rear drive truck. It's like, oh, okay, hello. Here's something that freaking pickup trucks need to take notes on, because yeah, that's the one problem I have about the Maverick. It's an FF with all-wheel drive hybrid technology. If you get the hybrid version. If you just get the regular Maverick, it's an FF. Which is the one thing that kind of bugs me out in terms of Ford Mavericks. Because yeah, in terms of like other small trucks I could think of in the future, the Tacoma I could think of one. The Nissan Titan is another. Dodge Dakota they could do. If they like the Dakota still to this day. I don't think they really do, to be honest. But that in terms of small Dodge trucks, that's usually the ones I can think of. And then yeah, Toyota. I think I mentioned Tacomas. Oh no, there's the one that starts with an H. I forgot. I didn't. It's the famous one. Basically, the Top Gear truck. I'm thinking they could toss in. But then in terms of Ford, you have the Ranger. You have the. Let's see what else we have. The Maverick, of course. Which I would like to see the Maverick. I would really love to see the Maverick in this, in terms of trucks. I'm trying to think of like all other kind of small trucks are there. In terms of, you know, trucks that are out there and such. Like there's some really rare ones, I'll just say that. For the most part, when it comes to talking about small trucks in general. And such, because at the end of the day, people just want the full size 4-door truck at the end of the day. They usually want, you know, the F-150 with the crew cab. Which I'm fine with that, that's fine. No. Because I will say I think crew cabs are really good. It's just like, it's like going even further beyond. It's like you're doing it because you need that diesel advantage, or you need it because other heavy haul means, like if you're hauling a big old trailer or something in return. Which hopefully you're just getting it for that reason, not like because you want to drive it or because of the high horsepower. Because that doesn't feel like a good thing to trade sometimes. And the Carry KC kind of proves that. As you can see here, I just cannot believe it's being sports cars. I mean, it's not like the highest grade of sports cars, but they're sports cars. So then, yeah, I have plans to put the 180SX as a sports car. I have plans to put the Mazda Roadster as a sports car. I will say I'm going to be starting their first generation and come on down. About that, I will say. When I get to the sports car. The sports car one is going to be a good while, though, because we got the pedestrian ones to go deal with. And another new one here. A bit. So, but for now, in terms of racing here, in terms of if I have any point of giving chase, surprisingly the Mazda Roadsters give a chase. I'm surprised about that. As much beef I just gave that already. I do love the Corvette C1's dashboard. I did not know this lights up like at all. Oh yeah, and the other thing I mentioned about Kyoto Driving Park here. Or in this case, I believe Pokemon's Kanto in this case. As the joke saying goes. So for the Corvette's dashboard there, I love it how wide up that is. Like, holy crap, I didn't think like a 1958 here would have a wide up dashboard. Like, holy crap. That's something, that's definitely gotta be advanced. Probably definitely costly though, but definitely advanced for the most part. You got the Challenger RT with just a big old wide up dashboard at the end there. It's just like one big light, I think, that hits the whole side at the end there. And of course you got the modern style as the V40 with just a little bit light up, or the digital numbers light up with a little bit of extra lighting. Hey me, as the thing goes. Which that was very coincidental that I suddenly showed up. Suddenly got to the part where I showed up on this car at the end. I was like, oh crap! I actually like timed it just right when it came to that. But yeah, hitting like a minute 49 around this track. I thought this track would be a little bit longer, at least like 2 minutes and 30, but no, 2 minutes less, like 1 minute 59. But I do have one opponent that's trying to come up to me like really as fast as he can in a minute 52, because yeah, like I said, they'll start tossing the warnings. I will note they will back off, unlike Sophie, where Sophie will keep going until I think they either pass you or they just keep going because they can. It's the worst part. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I'm just kind of done using Sophie. I think I'll use Sophie for special means. But other than that, just like, yeah, like after... And the worst part is, I wouldn't mind it, and I hate to be greedy about this, if they paid you a bit more when it comes to dealing with Sophie. Otherwise, Sophie's just not really worth it. This just proves how bad Sophie is. Then again, I kind of also say how bad the AI is, because reminder, this is a GT car right here, and it's getting destroyed by a Suzuki carry truck. That's holy crap. But yeah, if I had to say, if you want to make a crazy time attack little potent truck at 130 miles per hour, the Carry KC is your answer by slapping 143 horsepower. Get a race quality kind of transmission and like clutch and everything else, and you got a phenomenal little K machine that could destroy a lot of sports cars in the process. A lot. Like if you want to do like tight toge tracks, this might be one of the answers. Yeah, that'd be really weird, I gotta say. So yeah, so this is why people kind of fear this little K truck sometimes. Yeah, this truck knows how to haul ass if you so happen to put some horsepower down on it. So happen to keep the motor too, and keep it like 140. I mean, there's other choices, just slap a bike motor in it too. High power bike motor, like 90 horsepower, and just call it good. Because I will say, yeah, that 2 and 4, it just up really good too. Which we will be talking about more of that pretty soon, I will say. Because we are coming up to that, as this thing goes. Yeah, so this driving the Carry KC to victory with the last 3 laps in mine. As I had a pit at some point too. Yeah, as the saying goes, fuel burn, it's okay, so you reset the pit at least once. But for as fast paced as this is, like any high fuel ones are just gonna have trouble even dealing with this vehicle at the end there. So how good this is a Carry KC. It really shocks me. Like it's like it is really one of the fastest 130 mile per hour tryout vehicles I've ever done so far. Because yeah, I'll just say the next 10, they're probably not going to hit as even close to this. Is the bad part. I hate to say in terms of fear. As much as I tried so far, they've kind of just been a bit of a mid so far. Yeah, I got the Lancer Evo Tommy Mackinnon and the 911 964. Now there's the real customers to see. That thing goes. Now I know at some point I think the Lancer Evo and the 911 is already going to pit at some point though. And we got the Sprinter Trudeau. The Sprinter Trudeau is in 4th right now, which I'm not surprised. I think that's high. I think it has good fuel consumption, so you know. Not high fuel consumption. That would be bad. No, that would be called the Plymouth Superbird there. It's Ian's fuel taking one. But yeah, this is supposed to be like 30 minutes by the way, but as you can see, like the next 2 minutes here will be like 25 minutes here, so Yeah, I don't know what happened to the extra 5 minutes. Besides, they might have just took account of that you're supposed to be pitting at some point. But yeah, you know, because like I timed it to like 30 minutes and I just lowered to the lowest lap possible because I wanted like keep it within the 30 minutes. Or close to 30, but not exactly 30 or not higher than 30. You know, unless your name's Nürburgring, then it has to be higher than 30. As thing goes, but I will cut like a good swivel of that if I have to. When it comes to that. Heck, this is still like one of the longest turns of tryouts too, like 46 minutes. As it goes. Yep, so now I just drive the Suzuki carry to victory as like none of the opponents can't catch me. It's really weird. It's super weird. No doubt if Sophie wasn't more mine about this, it would be catching me. It would probably be catching me. It would probably destroy me in the process. I wouldn't be surprised. I will note the Lancer Evo in the Porsche ain't that far behind. They're like right there. So about 5 minutes away, if I recall, at the point of when I did this race, because the race wasn't that far. It was like 4 days back when I last did this race. Such. But yeah, in terms of what else to mention, not much else. I just hope this succeeds on being a truck to sell in terms of US over here, which, you know, freaking, you know, states are so opposing against it and kind of scared that will buy into the sales of big trucks, but it's going to. It's definitely going to. It's gonna have, it's not gonna have probably the most nastiest buy. I'm thinking like between a mid buy at best. And if worst case, a lower buy because, you know, there's just not a lot of people who are into it just yet. That thing goes. Because it is, well, I don't want to say invasive, but it's more like, it's like people are just kind of against it at the end of it. Treat it more of as a toy, even though the Carry KC is not a toy. It's kind of a very fundamental vehicle to need in case you just need to pick up a fridge or pick up a stove or something. If there's one problem, of course, I would say I think it needs a public kind of motor, though. I'm not against the 3-cylinder. Like maybe instead of having a public motor, you can modify the motor to be a bit more. At least hit 100 horsepower, I would say, for around these roads and stuff when it comes to the US. And then adding a bit. Well, if it has a whole crunch can problem, maybe add a bit more reinforcement to the sides and front, add a bit more bumper. Although it has a bumper, so it's like, I don't know. It's really weird. Again, it probably doesn't take much to crunch a can at the end of the day, and the Carry KC is kind of one of those vehicles. That's the only problem. Only problem to see. But yeah, Sprinter Turno was in second there for a good second. That was pretty funny. Sadly, I know that 911 Pro RS 964 is just gonna haul ass on the way there. Cause yeah, they already refueled, by the way. That's why the Sprinter Turno was up there in third also, or second also. Now it's a third. But the Lancer is probably gonna try to take that third at the end there. Look at this. Impreza 22B just falling up. This thing goes. And then Corvette Z01 the furback. This just feels like a Gran Turismo situation, I gotta say. This feels like classic Gran Turismo, and I love it. This is what I was missing. But yeah, I would thought Sony would, or not Sony, but Sophie would, sorry, oh my god. Sophie would honor that, you know? And no, not really at all. It's really like an ass fight backwards to me when it comes to that. It's really weird. I don't want to go against it, like full well against it, but you know, it just shows like, you know, it's just better off just go with the regular AI at the end of the day. And then just treat Sophie as a experimental pay-in bonus AI, but they don't want to do that for some reason. This thing goes. Yep, so now onto technically the final lap here, as we just relook at all the opponents where they're sitting at as of now. Got the Sylvia Spec Car at 7th with the Z. But yeah, I'm shocked about the Sylvia being up here. Then again, the Sylvia gets better when each generation. It did got better over each generation. So yeah, I will say that Spec Car Sylvia to me is technically GT. It's a GT level Nissan. It just kind of sucks though, because I think by emission standards, I don't think it was that good. That's why we never got that Sylvia, the S15, over here in the United States. I believe emissions killed it. and such, because the missions got stricter and it kind of killed that motor in the process. So the only way you're getting that S15 is Japanese import, which is up to age at this point. It's in 2002 and 2027, so we're eventually getting that Spec R, as the thing goes. If anyone still offers those, as the thing goes. But for now, you can just have the regular Silvios S15s too, which that's fine. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You can just always modify it if you want as crazy as stuff. Spec R, or make it even better than Spec R. The thing goes. Yeah, so now to the last roundabout turn, here we go. This thing goes. I will note, when I did cross the line here, I did let it just coast the rest of the way. Let's see who else makes it here. So here I come hitting the line here. Yeah, the 911 ain't that far from us. I think he was on that roundabout there. Or was he on the straight there? He's on the straight there. Yeah, he's got a lot to go. But yeah, in terms of second, we had the 911 Carrera RS, we had the Sprinter in third, we had the Lancer in fourth, the Corvette in fifth, the Impreza in sixth, the Silvia in seventh, and then the Mazda Roadster in eighth. What a lineup, I gotta say on that. Holy crap. That's a lineup I like to see. But yeah, that wraps it up about that in terms of this episode. So until then, people, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, you enjoy this little teaser where I get to do the 155 mile per hour tryout with the Volkswagen Grade 4, or in other words, Volkswagen Scirocco Grade 4. So until then, people, I'll see you guys on next time. You guys take care and ciao.